We'll jump into our first movie review, the one we'll probably go into the most, and this is the one that Cam didn't even want to be a part of because he's the only one who was unable to go see this movie. So, Cam, if you're listening to this, we're going to start talking about a movie that's going to be spoiled for you, but we'll start with the spoiler-free section, and we're talking about The Menu here. And a brief synopsis. The Menu is a new horror thriller comedy that's about a couple that travels to a coastal island to eat at an exclusive restaurant where the chef has prepared a lavish menu with some shocking surprises. This stars Ray Fiennes and Anya Taylor-Joy. I feel like this is a movie that had hype coming into it because there was a lot of trailers before big movies of this movie that really grabbed my attention, but I don't see that many people in the mainstream talking about it outside of movie talk, like going to see this movie. But I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I'll kick it off over to Seth first. What are your thoughts on The Menu? We'll start with spoiler free, just kind of talking about the movie as a whole, and then we'll jump into spoilers a bit later.
So I really liked it. I don't think I was quite as high on it as you two, but I thought it was very entertaining. I thought it was very original. I thought Anya Taylor-Joy and Ralph Fiennes were definitely the standout. I really liked Nicholas Holt's character as well. I think some of the dialogue was like laugh out loud funny, which surprised me. And I think a lot of the character work they did, every character had their own sort of comedic value to add, which made me enjoy it a lot more. I did really enjoy the first act, also the second act. It did kind of fall off for me a little bit when it, in my opinion, I think this is just a preference thing. In the third act, it kind of strayed a little bit away from the horror comedy and went more into like a social commentary, which is fine, which I think they did well. But I didn't enjoy it as much. I wish they'd gone, continued down that stupidly goofy, ridiculous route without the social commentary there. But I think the most important thing about this film is that it has style and substance. There is a lot you can take away from it. Tyler, you mentioned it's quite comparable to Triangle of Sadness. George, you haven't seen that, have you? Yeah,
I've seen it now.
Yeah, so it's quite comparable to that in terms of like sort of the commentary on social classes, on the rich, on power, that sort of thing. But I really enjoyed it. I think the characters were really good. I think the dialogue was funny. I think it was original, and I think it's one that I will definitely go to rewatch as well. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. My friend Anna gave it the same. We both enjoyed it, but I think it's one that could actually go up on rewatch because there's a few bits here and there that I might have missed. But overall, 3.5 out of 5. Really enjoyed it. I did say though when I left the cinema, this is a film for me that's too good for a 3.5 and not good enough for a 4 for me.
I was gonna say your review, like your words of your review that you just gave it the past 2 minutes, didn't sound like a 3.5 normally from Seth. That sounded more on the 4 range.
I was saying, but I'd rather go the low. If there was an option, I'd give it 3.75. I really just the final act just let it down for me personally in terms of the way they went. But I think that's just a preference thing. I don't think it's technically bad filmmaking. I think it's really good. Just in terms of kind of the way they went, it kind of lost its footing a little bit for me in the third. But I think a lot of people will really enjoy this a lot more than I did, and I think it's one to watch definitely. Yeah.
Awesome, glowing reviews from Seth's Film Reviews. George, how about you? You saw this just probably about 10 hours ago at this point.
Yeah, I saw this last night. We'll get into a little bit more spoilers, but I think I'm on like the other side of this train that Seth is on with the ending. I kind of enjoyed that ending when I
think most people are, to be fair.
It was one of those things where it was like the whole movie was just hinting at this massive social commentary, and I would have been a little upset if they didn't like just address it in the most blatantly obvious way. And I think that third act absolutely did that. And I thought that just kind of stuck to the absurdity of this entire script. But echoing everything Seth said, I think this was incredibly refreshing. I think this was a nice little, tight, cute little horror comedy on this year. It's one of those movies, and I don't know if you guys noticed this. Typically, trailers before movies are, geared. So if you're going to see like Strange World next week, I assume all the trailers beforehand are going to be geared towards like children's movies or animated movies or something like that. I saw the Menu trailers before every single movie I've seen over the last 2 months. They were advertising the shit out of this movie, and I don't know if you guys pay attention to that. But yeah, overall, I had a really good time with this movie. I thought it was absolutely hysterical. Ray Fiennes, he was so unintentionally hysterical because I feel like his character was just supposed to be this arrogant, high and mighty chef douchebag. But like every time he clapped, I laughed my ass off. Every time he was telling like the story about like his father and his mother, I was absolutely hysterically laughing. I thought it was incredible. I love Anya Taylor-Joy. I don't think she was like revolutionary in this movie. I think she did a great job for what she had to do. That being said, she is my queen. I absolutely love her. But yeah, overall, I had a really good time in this movie. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. It's sitting just inside my top 20 of the year.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I'm even higher. I have it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's right on the border, so right between a 4 and a 4.5. And I echo everything you said. George, the word you said that specifically stood out to me was tight. This movie was just at an hour 40. It wasn't overly long. I thought the pacing was great. They got everything they needed to and didn't have any extra fluff to make you sit through. Yep. So definitely appreciated that. Ralph Fiennes absolutely dominated his performance. Like you said, Anya Taylor-Joy was very good, but she didn't really have to be amazing for this character. Like, it was definitely Ralph Fiennes who was holding the attention of people. But Hung Cho, the Ralph Fiennes' assistant, I thought she was like very good as well. She was funny, but so deadpanned when she was like talking to all the guests, being like, "You can't take pictures," and then when he's like, "Can you just get us some bread?" No. Like,
no,
that conversation was so funny.
So
I liked what's his name, John. Sid the Sloth. What's his name, John?
Oh God,
the movie star. What's John Liu?
He's from Chef. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, the guy in Chef. I thought he was funny, man. I really liked him.
Yeah,
I think every character just had their own kind of thing to add into the story that made me laugh quite a lot. I liked the duo. That's the one. Yeah. Thanks, Cam. Who's not Cam the ghost? The food critic duo as well.
They were great. I love them.
They were really funny.
You know what? Okay, so I give it a 4.5 out of 5, and we're going to end the non-spoiler talk here because I want to get into spoilers. So I want to start talking about this stuff. But basically, if you couldn't get the theme from what we just talked about, it's a very good movie. We all very much enjoyed it. It is genuinely funny, and I'm like very harsh on comedy usually, and there's genuinely good jokes in here that don't feel forced, mainly because the acting is just so impeccable in this movie. It's not overly long. It's a nice, just quick 100-minute theater visit, and you'll definitely enjoy yourself and find something out of this. But we're going to get into spoilers now. The Ghost of Christmas Cam, stop listening. But yeah, I want to get into this, and this, I don't know if this is technically a spoiler, but a lot of people message me when I put my review, and they're like, is this too gory? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't do good with gore. But I want to get into, like, this movie from the trailers, I totally assumed was going to go towards, like, a cannibal route. Like, there's, because, like, they would show, like, the bone marrow was, like, one of the dishes. So I totally was like, oh, this is going like a cannibal route. And I think a lot of people think that. So they're like, oh, I want this to be like fresh or like bones and all. Like, is this like another cannibal movie? So literally nothing about that. Like, all the food they eat, genuinely like delicious, actual food that by the end of it, you'll be so hungry.
Thing with no bread.
I mean, I'd still probably eat that. But literally after,
I'd eat it,
I went to get a cheeseburger with my girlfriend after this movie. Like, I was like, this looks that cheeseburger he made was so good.
I got a burger after. I literally got a burger after.
That was one of the most attractive scenes in movies this whole year. Was him making that burger for 3 minutes.
It was amazing.
I texted you, and I'm kind of on like the same. I didn't think it was going to go the cannibal direction, but I had texted that it was an interesting movie. The trailers did, and maybe I'm just an idiot, but the trailers didn't make this out to be like a Triangle of Sadness type film where it's going to have a lot of social commentary. I really thought they were going to go. I was expecting, and we're talking spoilers, I was expecting every single character to get absolutely slaughtered. Obviously, they all end up perishing, but I was expecting them to get like I thought this was going to be one of the goriest films of the year, the way that trailer made it out to be. And when I said that this movie was interesting, I think I more meant it on like it was a lot tamer than I expected it to be.
I agree. I expected worse.
Yeah, even Victoria walked out and she was like, that was a bit unsettling, but I think I expected it to be like I was expecting decapitations or something. I don't know.
I'm kind of with you. I thought it would be a lot. I thought it'd be a lot more balls to the wall and just pushing the kind of not shock value, not like a Terrifier, but like a lot of weird deaths and stuff like that, which there were, but a lot more in detail. And it did surprise me that it was more like a Triangle of Sadness where they were kind of pushing this social commentary, which I think a lot of people will be a lot more positive about because it's really not like a gory film. There is some unsettling deaths, I guess, but it's not something that pushes balls to the wall in terms of gore and shock value. It's not that at all. I did kind of think of that, when it was a 15 as well. I thought, okay, it's not going to be that bad because there is a certain length of violence where they have to put it to what's a R-rated is
R or PG-13. Yeah.
Okay, so is an R the top one?
R is
Yeah.
the top, or like
And
NC-17.
Is it rated
So
R,
what was,
George,
what
here?
was that for you then?
I think it's R.
Let's see. I'll double check while you guys keep talking.
Because I think that would be an R. Because I think because we have 12, 15, and 18. And 18 is like that barrel. 18 is like a Terrifier usually, something that has like a really visual depiction of horror or something bad, and gore and stuff. And then 15 is like the menu and stuff. I think that'd be R rated for you. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. We're still waiting on fact checker George, but
Bro, where do I even find this?
Bro, I don't even know. You look. Usually, if you search,
What do I?
like,
Yeah, I searched
the
the
menu
menu.
rating.
That's what I searched. The
I
menu.
guess-
Rated
I thought
R. It's
R
rated
for
R. Rated R.
Yeah. Okay.
Where
so
are you
that's like-
seeing that? Am I being stupid? Oh, rated R. There it is. Okay, that's my
Isn't
fault.
that like 15 and
17 and above. But
Oh, is
you
that 17?
But if you're with an adult, you can go. I don't know. Is that the same for 18 and 15? Like if you're with someone older, can you go to those, or do you everyone
No.
have to be that age?
We only have that for 12. So there's something called 12A, which is like where someone under 12 can go if they're with like a parental guardian. If it's a 15 or 18, I think. I mean, they're not going to check most of the time, but you do technically have to be 15 or 18 to go. It's weird, man. Like some of the age restrictions for me don't make sense. Like a lot of
Okay.
films are 18, I don't get. A lot of films are 15, I don't get. It's
That
one
makes
of them.
sense. The general vibe I'm getting is that the UK is more lenient with movie ratings. Like stuff that's R here might be a 15 there, but it sounds like everyone has to be 15 plus in that theater. Whereas here, you can bring a 10-year-old to an R-rated movie if you're 20.
Yeah, but no one checks, do they? That's the thing. No one's
Yeah.
gonna. If you get asked for your ID, that's pretty embarrassing. Like, it just doesn't. It doesn't happen.
Right.
But I guess so. Like if if we see a film's 18, we're like, okay, this has got something in it that's gonna show a lot. But if it's 15, it's like, nah,
Yeah.
you don't really expect it from it. That makes sense.
But no, I thought this movie was genuinely hilarious. Like my theater, it was one of the funnest theater experiences I've had this year because I was in a packed theater for it, and people, because I went to an early showing, so it was like packed, and it was fun. Like everyone's laughing. The funniest joke for me, which was the one that people laughed at the least, was probably just because like I have student loans. Is when that one girl's like, "Why am I here? I don't want to die," and he's like, "Where'd you go to college?" And she lists like some very prestigious Ivy League school,
Brown.
and then he's like,
Brown.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know if people in the UK would know like how prestigious like Brown is, but then she was like, then he's like, "Well, do you have any student loans for that degree?" No, and he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna die tonight." And I was like, "That's fucking hilarious." And,
I really liked that. That just goes through the social commentary.
I know, and
so,
just Ray Fiennes'
so many
deadpan
of
delivery
those.
of it was just so brilliant. And
who was your guys' like favorite character? You had to say.
Nicholas Hoult. I was crying when
He was so funny.
when the
man.
old guy got his finger cut off and everyone's freaking out and
And
Nicholas
he's just
Hoult
like-
is just going in on the food like this is delicious. I
Oh.
was freaking out. That was so
Wow,
funny.
he
No,
was brilliant.
I
enjoyed it.
loved how they handled his character because when the movie starts, you see his chemistry with Anya Taylor-Joy for the first act. You're like, this is like, I get it, they're making a satire, a commentary here, but this is just an unbelievable romance. Like these people have no chemistry. Why would they be together? And then later, when everyone's dying and he's still eating, you're like, this is so dumb and unbelievable. He'd be freaked out. But then you find out later, he hired Anya Taylor-Joy to go with them, so of course he doesn't have any chemistry. And he knew the whole time they're all gonna die. So of course when people start dying, he doesn't give a fuck. And I was like, the way they explained that, I was like, damn, I'm glad because I thought it was just gonna be one of those like, oh, just it's funny, just have fun with it. But like, it all actually makes sense based on his character's backstory.
It's definitely well written. Like it's clever. It's just a tight script that works really well. And I think every character was like accounted for. You know, you watch those films a lot where it's these sort of moments where each character you kind of just don't care about some of the characters. I think every character was accounted for. I wasn't that big of a fan of the three guys a lot of the time. You know, the tax guys. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah,
That was hilarious. The tax
think-
on
I
the
think
bread
they were
was
there.
hilarious.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
the tax guys. I think everyone was there for like the old the film critic and her husband. They're trying to like say these big words to make.
They're
them
there for
sound
a
all-
reason. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're there for a reason.
I
Yeah.
think the three guys were there to corporate greed and capitalism and
They all
financing
kind of signify
bags.
something.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Dude, honestly, like the more I'm thinking about it, the more it's just like growing in fondness in my mind because the jokes are just so good. Like that critic and her husband just bouncing off those
it's
super
hysterical.
long words to each other, and she's like, "Oh yeah, it's bodaciously extravagant." And it's like it's just hilarious.
I think they like George said, every character kind of had a point in which you can look at through this social commentary. I think that's just it's clever, man. It's clever.
It's
don't know.
it's the see how they run for horror this year, where it's
I
like
still need to watch
it's
that.
very well written, but there's nothing like flashy to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love
So-
when they let everyone free to run. And he's like, you get a 45-second head start, and then that one guy just hiding in the shed, and then they just open the window like, here's the
Give him,
cup.
like,
Like, congratulations, you're the last one to get
hilarious.
caught.
That was so funny.
I actually found it. You know when the guy runs like just before he finishes his sentence, he just chases off.
Yeah.
I found that so funny. I think that was hilarious. So like, my question to you guys is like, so when I did my letterbox review, I had a comment about this. So I said that the good thing about this film is that it elevates enjoyability because it doesn't take itself too seriously. But I've seen a lot of people actually say that it does take itself too seriously to the point of it becomes a satire without, not deliberately, if that accidentally. For the ending, so were you guys kind of higher on the ending in terms of like, did you enjoy the ending more than the first acts? Like, how high were you on the ending? Because that was the point where it let it down for me personally.
I enjoyed where Anya Taylor-Joy character ends up. I fully expected her as she was like walking out after her cheeseburger. I thought she was gonna make like the classic dumb horror movie decision where she turns around and she's
Go
like,
back,
"No,
save them."
save this."
Yeah.
I absolutely love that she didn't. She was not meant to be there, and the movie makes that apparent as it kind of glides its way through. She was hired by Nicholas Holtz's character. She's a sex worker. She's not rich by any means. I enjoyed the social commentary aspect because, like I said, I feel like this movie kept just building up to it. Like, it was so apparently obvious that Ray Fiennes' character was just there to fuck up these pretentious rich people's day.
Yeah.
So if it didn't end in the most absurd way possible, I kind of would have been a little let down.
Yeah.
You used the word satire. I don't think a movie that uses that word can necessarily be taken seriously because I don't think this movie takes itself seriously. I think it's an incredibly self-aware film when it comes to it's a bunch of rich people in a restaurant and it's a chef slaughtering them. Like, that's not a serious film.
I guess so. Well, this isn't my opinion. I'm just reading stuff from. That's just a comment I got, but I'm kind of on your way. I think it is. I don't know how it can take itself too seriously. I think a lot of people will say that the film takes itself too seriously if it has social commentary. When I disagree,
Agreed.
I think
Yeah.
a film can still be a satire of a certain, like Triangle of Sadness. That has so many layers of social commentary, but I wouldn't say it takes itself too seriously to the point where it damages viewability. Tyler, you'd probably agree with that. I think a lot of people will just hear that and then just run with it, if that makes sense. But
I would say the Triangle of Sadness to me, and barely, because I feel like I agree with what you said. The social commentary in both doesn't detract from the movie. Like, it's not hitting you over the head so hard that you can't enjoy the movie. I would say Triangle of Sadness was more, for me, towards the spectrum of satire than The Menu, just because some scenes in the Triangle of Sadness just go so over the top and ridiculous that you're like, okay, this is like clearly, but we don't have to. Yeah.
You say that, but at the end of The Menu, they were literally human s'mores. Like,
Right.
That is like
Right.
crazy over
But-
the top. Which
But what I enjoyed about this movie the most is that the script was witty, but I just loved the character decisions because Ray Fiennes, the whole movie was deadpanned on destroying these corporate elite greedy people that just don't know what value is worth in this world. And he saw that Anya Taylor-Joy's character was not that. She proved that to him with the burger conversation. And that whole scene was all about him being like, this girl is not one of them. So he let her go, and it wasn't some cheesy, like, let her go and then, oh, no, you're actually dead. Like, he actually let her go. That lives up to what his character would be about. Same thing with her character. She was hired to be there. She hated it. Like, the guy she was with was a terrible person. Someone else who was there previously had hired her, who was also a terrible person. So her coming back and saving them would have gone against who she was, because she's a blue collar, fuck these people. So her not coming back, I enjoyed that aspect. But I would say I can agree with you, Seth, to where when the movie ended, I didn't dislike the ending. But what I said to my girlfriend right after it ended, I was like, I like this ending, but I feel like I can see people not liking it. And then she was kind of surprised. She's like, no, I really liked it. I don't see how anyone would like it. But something about it, which I'm glad you brought it up, that like, do people not like this ending? Because I can see people not enjoying it, whether they wanted some resolution with the rich people not burning alive, or somehow save the day, or some other twist at the end for one final punch. But I feel like that would have gone against everything this movie was setting up. So I'm happy it ended the way it did.
Can I just say, I think one of my favorite parts of the film was why the movie star was there, because it was like
Oh my
Ray
God.
Fiennes, like first day off in like 4 months, and he just acted, and he's like, I didn't direct it. It was accident. He's literally put there because the guy wasted time watching a bad film. I found that
so
hilarious.
fucking funny.
That was really good. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, that was great. But all in all, and yeah, so I said this on my Instagram story. I was like, this movie's Ratatouille plus Midsommar plus Triangle of Sadness. Triangle of Sadness is a social commentary. Ratatouille because it's about fine dining and tackling that, but totally Midsommar vibes by the end, where like the wife of the person who initially hired Anya Taylor-Joy, she was like, thank you, and he was burning them alive. Like, he definitely like messed them up mentally to where some of the actors or characters were literally like thanking him for ending their life and suffering by like killing them in that pier of a s'more. So definitely some kind of indoctrination vibes in this movie with Ray Fiennes taking over these people's mentality. Anything else we want to say on the menu? Overall, glowing reviews from us. Like, genuinely, like, I had a blast with it in terms of the humor. I'll definitely be rewatching it when it comes out on HBO Max or something in 3 months. I feel like that's just inevitably where I could see a movie like this ending up. Any other closing thoughts?
Could you see Ray Fiennes getting a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actor in a comedy or musical?
Maybe. It's a hard one. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if he were to get a nomination, if it would be comedy or drama, but I could see him like because they once nominated Matt Damon for comedy or musical for The Martian.
Yeah, that's weird.
Wait, for comedy or musical?
Yeah, for The Martian. Yeah. So like I could see him like if the I don't know if the list of like possible nominees is light, I could see him sneaking his way in there.
If the nominees are light, I can see it happening. Definitely. But then these award shows are just weird, man. We don't know what to do. Do you know what I mean? Like
we've been known that.
Yeah.